deploying them strategically. They're a force multiplier. They're not in a law enforcement capacity, so they will be located in places where they're going to provide security, area denial of places that are sensitive or things that already have been looted and damaged, but we still want to secure. We will use them there. We'll use them also for public locations. You'll see a lot of them in the downtown area around the Grand Park and all of the county buildings. You'll also see them there.
And why did you feel, I know you were not the only one who made this decision. In fact, the mayor and the governor were speaking about this. Why does your agency feel that it's necessary to utilize the National Guard in this situation?
Well, we're the most understaffed law enforcement agency in the entire nation. And we were maxed out with deployment of personnel responding to all these different protests across the county. So we needed to be able to supplement our personnel, and then we're shifting the personnel that are in the security posts to do law enforcement functions in mobile field forces, and they're being replaced by National Guardsmen. So this definitely has allowed us to expand our presence throughout the county.
Yeah, and also, yesterday was chaos, and, the protest started around noon, and there was still activity going well into the early morning hours, especially in the Fairfax district. Going forward into the night, what are some of the areas that you're most concerned about that, the resources will be out there, so if people are watching, they'll understand that, hey, stay away from this area. I know there's the Santa Monica protest, there's one in downtown Portland, but what are your areas that you're most focused on?
Well, right now we're concerned about the Citadel area, Santa Monica in particular. Also, there's a concern in Whittier and in the Bay areas, the Bay cities. And up north, however, up in Palmdale, we had a concern. We have a deployment of personnel up there. And we just want to differentiate between protests and vandalism and arson. There's a big difference between the two, and we're just not going to tolerate it. We will actively seek out people who are looting, and we will be arresting them. And we're going to respect and honor and support the people that are just exercising their First Amendment rights.
And, what's interesting is you had your press briefing yesterday, and, one of the things that you talked about is being a minority. I'm a minority myself, and you know what it's like to feel different. And you talked about how at LASD, they want to support people. You're just asking them to keep it peaceful. You said the point at hand, remember George Floyd. Hold the people accountable, and then through them heal. Talk to me a little bit about this message that you want to get out there to people who are watching, who are rightfully outraged by what they saw play out in Minneapolis and what they've seen been playing out throughout the last few years.
Well, it's hard to express that outrage by causing someone else to suffer. We have the officer involved has been arrested. We still have 3 more people that were participants and failed to do anything to defend the life of George Floyd. They're equally as responsible. They need to be held accountable to the rule of law. But by that same token, every one of us has to hold ourselves accountable to the rule of law. We need to express our concern, our outrage, however we manifest it in a lawful way, but we're not going to create more victims. Otherwise, we're not progressing as a community.
Sheriff, I want to ask you, I'm sorry to cut you off there. I want to ask you real quick before we have to let you go about your deputies. We saw many of them out there working in concert with LAPD and some of the other agencies. Can you talk a little bit about the number of deputies that were injured, if any, and what the nature of their injuries might have been?
Fortunately, we didn't have any serious injury at all, just some minor abrasions here and there. And we had over 400 deputies deployed in the field assisting both LAPD, Beverly Hills PD, in addition to our deployments to our patrol stations and our contract cities. So we're kind of spread out a little bit more today than we were yesterday, believe it or not. And it looks like it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, and I also want to talk, focusing on the issue at stake and what's causing these protests to start. It's fighting back against police brutality. What has your department done since you've been sheriff to make sure that, police brutality ends and it stops with you?
Well, we've come a long way since 1992. Since I took office December of 18, we've been extremely transparent. We created a transparency promise. We have a new website that has all the information available from the department posted online, so everybody can read it, information for themselves. We conform to AB 392, which is a revision of the use of force policy statewide. And our training on de-escalation and trying to resolve conflicts through other means, we keep working to improve that every day. We do implicit bias training, and we do that at the academy level. We do it in service throughout the department, so we're constantly emphasizing that. And most important, we stopped hiring people from out of state and out of county. We want to recruit and hire our local kids to become deputy sheriffs serving their own communities. And that is how we're really, really improving the situation.
All right, Sheriff Alex Villanueva, stand by for just one moment. We just want to welcome our viewers to a special extended edition of CBS 2 News at 5 o'clock, also on KCAL 9 News and streaming live on CBSN Los Angeles. We are covering major protests in and around the city of LA, Santa Monica, and other parts of Orange County, as well as some instances of looting, one of which you're seeing right here on your screen right now. A lot has been happening in our city and county over the course of the last few days and hours. We are joined on the phone now by Sheriff Alex Villanueva of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. One of the major headlines over the course of the last hour has been this new countywide curfew that has been enacted for 6 o'clock. Sheriff, I know we've been talking a lot about this, and I'm sorry to drill down on it, but I want to ask you again to address our viewers, explain what this curfew is, what it means that you can and cannot do within the county limits.
Once 6 o'clock at night hits, you need to go home, plain and simple. At 6 in the morning, you can resume your daily business. There's specific incidents, obviously, if you need medical assistance, things like that, that there are exceptions. And we have posted the entire order online, so you can read it for yourself. There's going to be an alert, public safety alert, that's going to go out in the next few minutes that covers the entire county. And the city of LA has a similar ordinance they put out previously, but that'll be updated by tomorrow to coincide with the county one. And we're working, we've communicated on social media. So the order doesn't apply, obviously, to peace officers, firefighters, and National Guard while they're doing their jobs. Individuals traveling to and from work, people experiencing homelessness, and those without access to a viable shelter, and of course, anyone seeking medical treatment.
All right, Sheriff Alex Villanueva, I know you've had a busy couple of days and you're expecting another busy night. I just want to thank you for all of your time here on CBS 2 News at 5. We appreciate it.
You got it.
All right, Sheriff, thank you. And we're taking a live shot right now in Santa Monica, one of many areas where there's been protests throughout the day. By watching different live shots from above and from the ground, we've noticed there were the protesters for the Black Lives Matter movement. And then there was also other people who were out there who were vandalizing other stores, breaking into stores, looting, going inside, coming out with retail. And most recently, I don't know if you were able to look at the screen, but that was the Santa Monica courthouse that some people were spray painting, there was graffiti, throwing things at the window, smashing. Chaos obviously going on in Santa Monica. We know the National Guard is deployed in this area. We saw them on the move. We believe they're heading to Santa Monica. We're still waiting on confirmation. But let's go to Desmond Shaw, who's been above Sky 2, Sky 9. Desmond, tell us, how has it been since the last time we talked to you? What do you see?
Hey, Chris and Sarah Star is just talking with the booth there. We're in downtown Long Beach right now looking at another huge protest. This looks very similar to what we were seeing in the Santa Monica area. This is Ocean Boulevard and Pine Avenue, so right in the heart of downtown Long Beach. A huge protest here, people standing in the middle of the intersection. It's unclear how long this has been going on. We just now got over the scene, but as I zoom out, not even really seeing any police presence to speak of in regards to this protest. Of course, in just about an hour's time, they will be in violation of the countywide curfew, so we'll see if they disperse. But this is Ocean Boulevard at Pine Avenue in the heart of downtown Long Beach. Hundreds of people in the middle of the intersection.
Desmond, are those cars there participating, the drivers participating in this, or are they trying to get through this? What can you see from up there?
Yeah, it's really unclear at this point if this person just got kind of caught in the middle of this, or if they are indeed part of this. So you can see there's definitely some drivers who got caught off guard. These folks here are absolutely stuck. I'm sure they were just trying to go about their day before the curfew hit, and they got stuck and they can no longer get through the area. But this person in the center, kind of unclear if he did just kind of get caught in the middle of the intersection. He's definitely stuck here now.
Yeah, Desmond, we want to stay with you, but we want to let people know if you look at the right-hand side of your screen, that is our sky cam in Long Beach. It's our live cam. You could see police up there kind of patrolling and viewing that area as well. But yeah, let's go back to you and what you're seeing. When did this all start? Do you know?
It's unclear at this point. My assignment desk had told us about it when we went back to get some fuel about a half hour ago. The only police I can see right now actually is one of the county helicopters overhead that's just kind of monitoring the situation. But I'm looking out the window away from our shot just to see if there's any police presence to speak of to come and regulate this. And actually, I can see now. I'm going to kind of zoom up here right to the north, and we're going to see some police up in this area. So here's another group of protesters up on Pine Avenue. Looks like this is going to be Pine and Broadway, and this is where now you do see a skirmish line by the Long Beach Police Department.
And
I just want to remind our viewers we're watching CBS 2 News at 5 o'clock, a special extended breaking news edition of our newscast. We're also broadcasting on KCAL 9 simulcasting and streaming live on CBSN Los Angeles. Desmond Shaw is live overhead in our helicopter at protests now underway in the city of Long Beach, which is, I believe, the first time that we've been able to cover, and we've heard word about protests underway there. Large groups of people. You know, Chris, we've mentioned this a couple of times already, but I think there are a lot of people out there that still have a little bit of anxiety about large crowds. We've been given guidance for months not to gather with our families, with our friends, because of the threat of the spread of coronavirus, which county health officials still tell us is a major threat to our area. You know, the mayor of LA had called for social distancing at some of these protests, but these are huge, huge groups of people that are standing very close together. Some are wearing masks, many are not. So, you know, we just want to remind our viewers that we are still in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic, and also protests and separately unrest in different parts of the country.
yeah, we've been through a lot, you know, as a country going through this pandemic, and 2.5 months people staying at home, and it just makes you wonder, you know, people are out and about for the first time, especially in large crowds like this. And obviously just talking to colleagues and friends, the psyche of it all, the mental health of it all, the emotions, the anger, the the
so
depression.
many of our friends have talked about how emotionally exhausted they are for so many reasons. Obviously,
2020
there is a lot.
one.
2020 has been a year. You know, there's a lot of stress and anxiety over some of the social justice issues that are being raised as a result of these nationwide protests and the motivation behind them. And there are a lot of anxieties about what's been going on with coronavirus in terms of the health element, and also the economic impact it's had, not just on our region, but across the country. So much has happened in just the last few months that people are really feeling on edge, whether or not they're involved with these goings on here over the last couple of days. We're just, you know, so many people are emotionally exhausted, are mentally exhausted for a number of reasons, and we do want to recognize that.
Yeah, for sure. And this is the latest protest. If you're just watching, just tuning in right now, there's been protests throughout the day. We had a protest in Huntington Beach. We had one in Santa Monica. We also saw one in downtown Los Angeles. This one happening in downtown Long Beach. You see a couple hundred people out there protesting. Don't know the details about this, but that LA County curfew, it starts at 6 o'clock. So less than an hour that curfew will go into effect. And we've been talking a little bit about Santa Monica and that curfew that was in effect an hour ago. And, you know, there were still people out there. But Desmond, it appears that there's two different groups based on your camera work. Is that right?
Yeah, Chris, maybe actually three different groups. These are all on Pine Avenue. One I showed you at Ocean Boulevard. This is that was at Ocean Boulevard and Pine. That's Broadway and Pine at the street. And then just up, not even a block, a small group of protesters on the other side of the skirmish line here. So the biggest group is definitely along Ocean Boulevard that you saw there in the middle of the intersection, where a lot of traffic at this point can't even get through. And it looks like, as I zoom in, there's someone who's standing right in front of the police who's kind of talking to the group right now. Unclear what he's telling them exactly. But yes, this is going to be Broadway at Pine Avenue, so right in the heart of downtown Long Beach now, where hundreds have assembled across several blocks.
All right, yeah, Desmond, we're trying to keep our eye on this as well, and I'm sure you're feeling some of the constraints of trying to cover all of what's happening in so many different places at once. You have the benefit of being up in the helicopter and not only seeing more than we can see from the ground, but being able to get places quickly. I know you've worked in this market for a while and you've covered a lot of different things, but I imagine this has its own set of challenges. So we're going to go to Santa Monica now, not too far away. This is Long Beach, but we're going to go back to Santa Monica where we have reports of a building on fire. We're going to get a locator for you now, but it looks like the fire department, one of their squad cars, is pulling up there. So they are on the scene. We don't know how this fire was started. We'll try and get some more information and to gather what the proximity is to where some of the other incidents were happening a couple of minutes ago. Obviously in Santa Monica, we've seen a few different things. We've seen a protest, we've seen some marching, but then we also saw some vandalism and some looting that was happening in a different area from where the protesters were gathered. So we're going to try and get some information as to where this is at. We're going to ask the control room to help us out here and how this fire may have started. But fire department officials looks like they are on the scene here. I imagine they're going to try and get staged to get this fire out.
And I believe we have Tina Patel on the ground. Is that right?
Okay, we're going to check in with Tina in just a minute here, and we're going to try and stick with this here. And like I said, I'm going to try and ask our control room to give us some more information about where this is, what the intersection is. 4th and Santa Monica. All right, so 4th and Santa Monica now. And it's hard to tell, but I think that the building itself is on fire because I saw some smoke coming out of the windows. But, you know, it's hard to get a sense of that because our chopper is sort of above the fray here and above the smoke. But that's the building right there. And there are people walking by. The fire department is there. I saw law enforcement there as well. Remember, Chris, one of the issues that we were talking about with the fire chief yesterday on our air on KCAL 9 and CBS 2 was the need for law enforcement protection when firefighters go in and start to try and put a fire out. So it changes the dynamics of how they're able to do their job, how they're able to set up to fight fires. They had a very busy night in the city of Los Angeles. The fire chief was telling us that they had, as of I think 10 o'clock, they had 300 more calls than they do on average in a night in LA. So they were very busy last night. Remember, they respond to fires, but they also respond to medical calls as well.
Yeah.
So they were assisting some of the injured officers in some cases, but now we're seeing this fire burning in Santa Monica.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder how this fire started. We're getting a better vantage point right there. You can see firefighters attacking this blaze from the outside, but we're not exactly sure what kind of store that is in. But as we've been showing you video throughout the day, a lot of these stores on the promenade have been broken into, they've been looted, and you know, this has been going on since 1:30, 2 o'clock this afternoon. So several hours later, 5:11 at night, there's still a lot of recklessness that is going on. As for the protesters, we saw with Tina Patel, she was there at a standoff with police officers, Santa Monica Police. I know LA County Sheriff's Department is there as well.
That may be Sake House on Santa Monica Boulevard. So we're going to go ahead. Yeah, it's the Sake House. It's a restaurant.
That? A restaurant, okay.
The 400 block of Santa Monica Boulevard and 4th. It looks like it's a Japanese restaurant there. And it's entirely possible that the restaurant was closed. And certainly we hope nobody was in there. But that is where the fire department is right now. That is facing Santa Monica Boulevard.
And there's a better shot of firefighters.
And they're actually, hosing the fire down. So that means that it's quite possible that the fire is burning inside of that restaurant somewhere there. And we do want to be very clear. We don't know how this started yet.
I mean, regardless, that just breaks your heart. I mean, these restaurants have been closed for indoor seating for months because of COVID-19. And
so let's go to Christy Fajardo. I know she's on the ground in Santa Monica. Let's get a better sense of where she is and what she's seeing. Christy?
Well, I'm actually just a half a block from 3rd Street Promenade. This is actually the alley behind the 3rd Street Promenade. We're at Arizona and 3rd Street. And what we're witnessing here is some looters attempting to get into what appears to be a shoe store. And this really underscores just how savvy some of them are, because when they saw our camera a little earlier, they actually set off smoke bombs to try to obscure our view, our vantage point. Now, the smoke has since cleared, but we're seeing quite a bit of looting here in Santa Monica, even blocks away from where the protest was held earlier. Actually, while the protest was going on, we saw people who didn't appear to be part of the protest actually looting the Santa Monica Audi dealership, which is on 10th and Santa Monica Boulevard. Also on Montana Avenue, several stores have already boarded up their windows. And although the Sheriff's Department is here, deputies are here lending their support to Santa Monica Police, they are outnumbered. If we pan our camera this way, you'll see that there are deputies here. They're holding the line at Arizona, but they tell us they cannot keep up with all of what is going on. As soon as they get a report of looting one place, they go in and clear that, only to have looting pop up elsewhere. We're also seeing on some of the side streets and in the neighborhoods people walking with suitcases, apparently bringing suitcases and filling them up with items. We saw also people with shopping carts taking advantage of the situation to grab merchandise. And the T-Mobile store also on Wilshire was targeted. People were inside there stealing accessories and phones as we were walking by. So a very tense situation, a very fluid situation out here in Santa Monica. We will be here all evening and we will bring you the latest. Let's send it back to you.
Yeah, Christy, I mean, you were a big part of our coverage last night talking about, the chaos that was going on in the Fairfax district, Beverly Hills as well. How, obviously it's still early, but how does this compare to yesterday's protest?
Well, it does seem like that there's a different element. I can tell you on Friday was a lot of young kids. It does seem that people are maybe a criminal element is taking advantage, or I should say a criminal element is taking advantage of the situation. Yesterday, we actually saw some people driving up in a Mercedes and looting a high-end designer furniture store. Some of the people we saw as well further up the street here in Santa Monica, maybe 10 blocks from where we're standing now, also were in vehicles filling them up. So it appears that there is some breakdown a little bit of law and order, and there are people going out, taking advantage of the situation. They know the police are tied up with the protests, and so they are using that so that they can go and rob and loot outlets.
And the curfew is in effect at 4 o'clock. Obviously we're all curious creatures and we want to know what's going on. People who live in Santa Monica, do you see them out and about? And if so, have you had a chance to kind of talk to them to see what their reaction is to what's happening?
Well, I've seen people who have been posting on social media that they're staying indoors. Some have reported seeing looting near their homes and so forth. As we were driving in, though, I can say that we did see people walking around. There were people jogging and walking their dogs. So there are neighborhoods just north of Wilshire, and so some of the people there seem to be going on life as normal, and really they're only about 2 blocks from where I'm standing now.
All right, Christy Fajardo, live for us in Santa Monica. I just want to go now back to Desmond Shaw, who is live overhead. And I believe, Desmond, you're at the Pike Outlets and you're seeing some looting happening there. What's going on?
Yeah, definitely, Sarah. So it's kind of, we can't get a direct shot of it, but there's stores underneath here that are definitely being looted. It looks like maybe Express, the Levi's outlet. I saw a bunch of people running in and out with bags, hopping in cars, and running away at the last second. And I can tell you that Long Beach PD just showed up here moments ago, and they may be waiting for reinforcements before they come in and lock down the area. But there is definitely some widespread looting taking place here at the Pike. It looks like they may kind of be taking advantage of the fact that a lot of these shops are kind of underneath this or inside, so we can't actually see which stores are being broken into, but definitely have some looting taking place here at this shopping promenade, the Pike, right on the waterfront here in Long Beach.
Are the looters, are they different? Are the other groups still out there? This is the separate people, right?
Yeah, this is a completely separate group that's fairly far away from the peaceful group that's along Ocean Boulevard and Pine Avenue. This is maybe a half mile at the most, kind of to the south and the west, closer to the harbor area. And again, it's you just see some people kind of walking through, but I saw one person here that get in a vehicle right. We'll see what happens with this car right here, but somebody had their arms full of clothes and just ran inside this car, and that car just hightailed it out of here before the police could do anything.
But the police are there now. Are they going in? Did you see them walking into the store? Are they in their cars?
No, here they are right here. Unfortunately, it looks like they're just kind of monitoring the situation. They may be waiting for more officers to arrive before they can realistically close everything down, because, as we saw in Santa Monica, it's really just a numbers game. They don't want to get involved until they're confident that they have the kind of numbers that they need to go in. And at the moment you've got half a dozen officers against several dozen looters. So the numbers at this moment are really not on their side.
We've been talking to different law enforcement agencies all night, including the LA County Sheriff's Department, who admits that they are spread thin in certain places, but they are responding to other emergencies in other parts of the city and the county. I just want to acknowledge the fact you may have gotten, if you have a smartphone, you may have gotten one of those emergency alerts within the last couple of minutes. Some of us here at CBS 2 KCAL 9 just got it, and it is a reminder about the curfew that's in effect. We've been reporting the county has instituted a 6 p.m. curfew in the county, Los Angeles County, and the city had previously had an 8 o'clock curfew. So we were getting a lot of questions from viewers. I know a lot of people are understandably confused about what guidance to follow, but the county clarified that the 6 o'clock curfew is also going to apply to the city of Los Angeles. So the county order, they say, supersedes any city curfews. Sheriff Alex Villanueva was live on our air a few minutes ago. I'm not sure if you heard it or not, but he was basically saying that the justification for that was that there were all these different curfews in different cities throughout the county, and there was a lot of confusion. So they just wanted to issue one unified curfew, which is 6 o'clock this evening. So we did ask them. I just want to let our viewers know what that meant. Now, Alex Villanueva, our sheriff in Los Angeles County, said that in his words that they weren't going to go after people who were out and about in areas where nothing was happening, that their focus was going to be places where there was any kind of unrest or police activity. So, you know, we've been getting questions from people about, am I okay to go walk my dog? Now, they are asking people everywhere in LA County to go home. But in terms of enforcement, that was his message to us. So that's what we're passing on to you, Chris. I do want to acknowledge the fact that there has been some confusion and some back and forth, and we're just trying to get the best information we can. But that latest information is LA County has enacted a 6 o'clock curfew.
Yeah, and you know, we're watching another live picture out of Long Beach, more looting going on. You see people going inside those stores and coming out with items that they stole. And it's important to talk a little bit about what's going on, because a lot of people on social media, they want to differentiate. There's the protesters, the ones who are trying to be peaceful, get their message across, and then there are the looters. The looters they're crimes, and it's violent crimes that's going on, and it's unfortunate to see.
In some cases, violent crimes, right? We've heard about assaults. In fact, we've seen it on feeds from earlier today. One of the things that I want to point out, one of the tactics that we're seeing in terms of some of the looting that's happened in and around LA today, we were seeing some people driving in who we don't know from where they were coming, but they were covering up their license plates. In one instance, I think I saw somebody try and rip that cover off, and there was an altercation as a result of that. But they are trying to cover up their license plates. And, you know, we're seeing a lot more looting happening in cars today than what we saw last night. When we saw some of the looting, it was people running in and
Which
grabbing
shows
what
this
they...
is likely planned.
Right, exactly. So these people, by that account, are taking opportunities and taking advantage of what's going on in the city, in different cities, in fact.
And it's important to note that police are making arrests. I mean, yesterday, the latest numbers are nearly 400 arrests, 398 arrests were made related to these protests. The charges include burglary, looting, which is what we've been seeing all day today, vandalism, failure to disperse, felon in possession of a gun, and numerous curfew violations. You go back to Friday nights. What was that number? 533 people arrested.
A lot, yeah. It was about 533. Yeah, that's
and
right.
you know, yesterday we had the curfew at 8 o'clock. Today, 6 o'clock curfew in LA County. So hopefully, you know, things will die down and get quieter, and you know, we don't keep seeing images like we see on our screen right now. I mean, this is a T-Mobile store.
Is this on 5th Street, by the way, guys? Is that the guidance that we're getting from the control room? Oh, hey. Desmond. All right, Desmond's overhead. Desmond, can you tell us exactly where this is happening? I know there's a couple T-Mobile stores in Long Beach.
Yeah, I'm trying to get an exact street for you here, but this is going to be right on the east side of the Pike. As I look at my map right now, I think you may be correct. Maybe Shoreline Drive, I believe, is what this is going to be, but you see people coming out with all kinds of stuff in your hands. I saw one person earlier that had a huge, what looked like a massive reusable grocery bag. There you see a bunch of people now swarming into the T-Mobile store to grab stuff. And that person came out with, a huge amount, so much stuff that he could barely even walk away with it all. Probably had a car waiting for him down the street. But it continues. Here's another person just grabbing whatever they can hold in their hands. it's just incredibly brazen. And now getting inside of a car here, so coordinating this with somebody else, it's like people are just, look at all these people pulling up.
Wow.
And it's just kind of like this
Madness.
infectious thing. They see a bunch of people doing this, and so then that attracts more looters to come into the stores, and these cars are just waiting to receive all of the stolen goods. And unfortunately, no police presence that I can see at all on this side of the pike.
Yeah, this is on Pine, actually. This is the T-Mobile here, and then there's the Dueling Piano Cafe next door, at least it was there, California Pizza Kitchen. There are a lot of restaurants and shops right here in Long Beach. So this is the T-Mobile store on Pine Street. Desmond Shaw live overhead reporting on some looting happening there. We don't see law enforcement in the area yet, but Christy Fajardo is on the ground. I believe she was in Santa Monica and is seeing water cannons being used. Christy?
Yeah, that's right. We're just now seeing deputies using water cannons on some of the looters here. We're actually on 4th Street between Arizona and Santa Monica Boulevard. You can see some of them running away now as the LA County Sheriff's is pulling up. Just minutes ago, we actually saw some of the looters trying to break into the ATM of this Chase Bank over here. It was very loud bang, not clear what they were using, but they were hitting it, really trying to get in. They were unsuccessful, and now they too have run away. But this situation here is really taking a turn for the worse. We are seeing a lot more looting, and as far as we can tell, law enforcement really is outnumbered. We were talking to a deputy maybe just 15 minutes ago who was telling us they would hold the line in one spot only to hear about another trouble spot, and at this point they just don't have enough people to respond to every report of looting. That's the latest from here. Let's send it back to you.
Okay, Christy, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And of course, we want all of our crews to stay safe. Christy was right in the middle of a lot happening yesterday. So, Christy, please be safe out there. We appreciate your coverage again today for the second day. A lot happening in and around Los Angeles.
Third day.
The third day,
Yeah, Friday night,
say.
and she was covering that as well.
All right, Christy, thank you so much. We're going to come back to you here in just a second. We'll let you get your bearings. On the right-hand side of your screen is a shot Long Beach. This is, I believe, 81 Pine Street. Desmond Shaw live overhead. Desmond, there are a lot of people running in and out of this T-Mobile store.
Dozens and dozens of people just continue to come in and come out, and look at the size of the bag of what this person is carrying. Let's just follow this person for a minute and see where they go. We've been seeing cars pulled up, several people getting out of the cars, running in, grabbing whatever they can, and then getting away in cars, or just kind of walking casually. Now it's even more brazen, just incredulous how casually now these people are walking away. We may want to follow them and see where exactly they're going to go. I'm curious if they're going to try to maybe go and blend in with the peaceful protesters just up the street. I can kind of zoom out here and just show you where that is taking place. That protest is going to be back in this area. So you can see really, really close here. That's where all the protesters are, in the middle of the street. And then you may just have some, the criminal elements coming down the street here to loot the area and then maybe go back and hide amongst the protesters. Just a completely out of control situation, and still not seeing hardly any police presence at all.
Yeah, I mean, this is a challenge for everyone, and that includes law enforcement, who is now having to comb through so much happening at once. We've gotten a lot of questions from people. I see that somebody, for example, has said, it looks like somebody's there running out with handfuls of I don't know what, running into a car. We've had questions from people saying, hey, how is it that the police are a block away and this is going on behind them and they're not coming? You have to imagine this is a huge communications challenge where there are so many emergencies and situations happening at once. They have to talk to each other as best they can, and sometimes there are other situations that they're attending to when something starts up right behind them. It's incredibly difficult, you can imagine, trying to deal with this. And we just watched somebody go into a store, take handfuls of stuff out and load it up into this dark-colored
this
sedan
person right here as well. I mean,
handfuls, and they're going back and
into
forth.
That
it
car,
looks like.
Right?
Desmond, I want to ask you something. You are above, and you have the ability. Sometimes we're not going to do it now, but to see the license plates. I know some people were covering their license plates earlier. Are police above in some kind of, whether it be LA County Sheriff or local law enforcement, are they above overhead? Are you seeing any other helicopters that might have the ability to look down and see what's going on here and call it out to officers on the ground?
I only see one police helicopter overhead right now. They're actually kind of fixed on the protesters that are at Ocean Boulevard and Pine Avenue right now. I don't see any air support overhead the Pike, which is just being completely raided by looters right now at the moment. And I've just been waiting to see if we're going to see any kind of response from Long Beach police. The last I had seen them, they were up in this area. I'll zoom in again now. It looks like they've moved away from, they were kind of stationed at this intersection. They may be going through, yeah, here they are now. You see they're going to be sweeping the area. So hopefully they'll be able to come in and come over to the T-Mobile store. And you see there's a canine unit there as well, a couple of them.
But those
should
people
at
already
least get scare the looters away.
Those people already got away in that car. We just saw that gray sedan or dark colored sedan just drive off with all these other cars, not even in a hurry, just pulling away and blending in with the rest of the people who are out driving around near the Pike in Long Beach. And the police, who are not that far away, have no idea what just happened around the corner, which, it's impossible for them to be everywhere at once and to see what's going on here. But you can see, and the viewers can see, what the problem is, of course, when so much is happening at once.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how long it took, Long Beach police to assemble enough resources to feel comfortable that they could go in and secure this building. And now that they've done that, unfortunately, it's almost like it's too late. The devastation on these businesses has already been wrought. So they're going now underneath. This is kind of where we were seeing the looting about 10 minutes ago, and the T-Mobile store is just on the other side right over here. So hopefully they'll be able to get this entire area under control, but we'll just have to see what else happens in Long Beach after this point. I was watching the protesters earlier, and I just happened to kind of glance over this way because I had a feeling that this area would be extremely vulnerable to looting, and I was right. And unfortunately, that's what we've seen, many thousands of dollars worth of, tens of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise
and this
being stolen this evening.
Yeah, and this is why, the National Guard is being deployed to our region. We're still trying to figure out where exactly they're going, but we know about 500 guardsmen are out here. They can be sent all over LA County, but at this point, we're still trying to figure out where they're going. And
LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva talked a little bit about that in our live interview here on our air earlier, and we asked him that question, and he said that they are not there to enforce the law, which I interpret as they're not there to arrest people, but they are there in a security capacity, the way he explained it to us, to watch over high interest areas wherever the Sheriff's Department and local law enforcement decide that may be. We saw them moving down Pico earlier through Mid-City and then down Pico Robertson. We think that they were heading towards Santa Monica, but we're not really sure just yet. I just want to let you know Santa Monica officials are planning a news conference. We expect that we'll hear from city leaders as well as the police department or a representative from the police department. That's a live picture there. Brittany Hopper is out there reporting.
Are we able to go to Brittany?
All right.
Okay.
So that news conference is happening in seconds, we're told. So we're going to see if we can get to that shot. I'm not sure if that's up yet, but there's some demonstration happening here where our reporter Brittany Hopper is, and we're going to try and get to that news conference in Santa Monica. By the way, I know sometimes you're seeing expletives on signs, and we're doing our best not to show foul language or anything like that. We just want to let you know that that is a consideration that we're making here. We're going to do our best to abide by that. But you can see protesters and police standing off here in Long Beach, it looks like. Our reporter Brittany Hopper is there on the ground. She's gathering some information, but we are still awaiting this news conference in Santa Monica. Obviously, so much, Chris, has happened there today. There have
It's
been
been
major...
a lot. I mean, they've been in curfew since 4 o'clock.
They've had major demonstrations, and they've had people marching peacefully down the street, and then just blocks away, there was looting underway. It looked like the two groups had nothing to do with each other, but police still have to respond to both situations. So there are going to be questions, I'm sure, asked of the Santa Monica Police Department about what their plan is. And we also haven't seen so far, not that it couldn't be happening outside the eye shot of our camera crews, we haven't seen people being arrested for curfew that we know of. We're gonna see if they address that.
And what exactly does that 4 o'clock curfew mean? I mean, how are they going to enforce that?
It gives them the ability to arrest people for being out on the street. We've heard
whether or not they do it.
We don't know. Yeah, All right, let's go to that news conference now. Let's listen in.
Manager for the city of Santa Monica. Today is a devastating day for our city. An unlawful assembly has been declared, and we have had a curfew in place. At this point, our priority is to protect the safety of the members of the public. We are telling everyone to go home. Tomorrow, we start our recovery. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Chief of Police, Cynthia Renaud.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for a few minutes. I just wanted to reiterate that the City of Santa Monica and the Santa Monica Police Department is here to support peaceful protests, but will not stand for civil unrest and criminal behavior. The Santa Monica Police Department, in coordination with our area law enforcement partners, are actively working in the city. There is a curfew in place. We are asking you to go home, and those who don't, we will begin notifying and making arrests for the curfew violation. Our intent here and our primary goal is to keep everyone safe.
Hello, I'm Deputy Chief Judah Mitchell, and on behalf of the Santa Monica Fire Department, we have resources deployed throughout the city with the #1 goal to protect life and property. As this is a dynamic situation, and we'd like to remind everybody to please follow the 4 p.m. curfew. And lastly, if you remember, do not overburden the 911 system. Only call for life-threatening emergencies.
Buenas tardes. Yo voy a hacer esta entrevista en español para la gente español. Yo quiero
All right, so we are
desearles,
listening to the city of Santa Monica. We heard from the city manager, also the police chief of Santa Monica Police, and also Santa Monica Fire. And, you know, obviously their remarks were brief, but basically what they're saying is that this 4 o'clock curfew is in effect. They have declared an unlawful assembly in this area. We're also learning, you know, that you heard from the police chief saying that she does support peaceful protests. They will not support civil unrest and criminal behavior, which is what we've been seeing throughout the afternoon. People breaking into stores, vandalizing stores, the courthouse, looting, what have you. They said the main reason for this curfew is to keep everyone safe. And we're listening to one of the Spanish speakers there from the city of Santa Monica. It'll be interesting to see if they allow reporters to ask questions about what's going on.
Yeah, and I want to mention something. Remember, as we're looking at these live pictures of a fire being put out on the 400 block of Santa Monica Boulevard, I believe, at a restaurant, a Japanese restaurant there. I want to mention something about news conferences. Normally, they happen with city officials, with dozens sometimes of reporters, photographers, newspaper reporters, radio reporters, television reporters in the room asking questions. But since the coronavirus pandemic began, these news conferences have been happening in an entirely different format, where you have maybe one person on the phone asking questions.
And I think that was it.
Yeah, so we don't know. Yeah,
no option
we do
for
not
any
have
questions
the ability.
From journalists. That's interesting.
Santa Monica is a smaller city. Remember,
right.
LA County has been set up to hold these news conferences with county supervisors. The mayor of LA has a phone system where reporters can dial in. Santa Monica, the city, may not have been in a position to conduct one of those news conferences on the fly like that. So we apologize. Our intention was
like
to ask questions. Yeah. Our intention was to get more information from the police department about the number of arrests. But the sole headline there really was that the police, the chief of police there said that they are going to start enforcing that curfew. They basically said that they're going to notify and then make arrests because they're asking people to get off the street.
Yeah. Still bizarre that we weren't able to ask questions, but like you said, it's a smaller city, and they're not used to
they may not have been in a position to set up a phone call for us to get on the line. Of course, behind the scenes here at our CBS 2 studios, we will try and get your questions answered as best we can. But these are live pictures on the ground, on the left-hand side of your screen, on the ground in Santa Monica, where a fire was just burning. It looks like a lot of broken glass, a lot of tagging. Brittany Hopper is in Long Beach, is where you see those pictures on the right-hand side of your screen, people marching throughout the street. Brittany, it looked like you were in front of some protesters and police officers when we last saw you. What's happening where you are? It looks like you're at the Pike now.
Yeah, that's right. We're down here in Long Beach. Sorry. And what started off as a peaceful protest, and there were probably about 200 folks out here, there is this smaller group now that we are seeing have broken into some stores out here. They have taken some things. We've seen a lot of clothes being taken. Windows shattered. Let's go over here, Francisco. We can just stay with us. Keep walking down over here. As you can see, we're just following the police that are over here. They were over down by the freeway, and now they're coming back over here because, like I said, there was a peaceful group. They were protesting. They had their signs up, and everything was peaceful. And then a smaller group here that we're following right now, they started to get a bit more violent and started looting. Do you want to say something about why you're here and what message you want to get?
I'm a veteran. I'm a Marine.
Thank you for serving.
I'm a Marine Corps veteran. You know what I say? Nigga, fuck cops.
Okay. Obviously, we apologize for that profanity. We're going to try and get back to Brittany in just a minute.
Of course. You know,
All right, let's get back to Brittany in just a minute. Let's give her a chance to get her bearings. We're going to go to Desmond. He's in the helicopter. Again, we apologize for the language. Desmond, it looks like people are moving where you see in Long Beach. I know you've been covering different things, at the Pike, and then obviously the protests. What are we seeing now? Where are people walking? Give us a sense of what intersection we're at now.
Well, Sarah, this is a completely different group of protesters. This is marching westbound along Broadway. I saw them come up Benito Street from Ocean Boulevard. That's farther to the east from that big group, that big crowd that I showed you earlier at Ocean Boulevard and Pine. It looks like they're marching in that direction, but I'm just going to kind of pan back back to the left and show you just how large this group is. This is many hundreds of people now. They may be going to join the other large group of protesters that were over in the downtown Long Beach area. This has been just a few, maybe 10 or so blocks to the east. My pilot just happened to notice this large group of people beginning to assemble. So these folks are marching. They're on the move, headed westbound on Broadway towards downtown Long Beach.
Right, and remember that county curfew is in effect at 6 o'clock. So 20 minutes from now, the county officials have asked people to go home, not to run their errands, to stay indoors. They've explained to us that they needed a uniform curfew for the entire county of Los Angeles. This may be an unprecedented situation we find ourselves in. We have to look into some of the historical context there, but this is an incredibly challenging situation for a lot of people right now. Obviously, we have a lot of demonstrators who are out there speaking and chanting and protesting, and then we have, crime underway in different parts of the city of Long Beach, of Santa Monica, and earlier in downtown Los Angeles. But right now it looks like police on the ground from our ground shot are outside the K Jewelers. Brittany Hopper is there too. Brittany, what are we seeing now?
Oh, okay. So as I was mentioning earlier, there were some peaceful protests, but this is when it started to get bad. This is when the looting started happening. Look at this. Take a look. They broke into this store right here. We saw a bunch of people taking clothes, any items that they could possibly take. You can see all this damage caused to this store. This is Hot Topic. Of course, all of these stores have been closed because of the coronavirus. This is a relatively big outdoor mall with an H&M, a Gap, and tons of stores, and we're seeing more and more stores getting looted and broken into. You can see over here, Francisco, if we could just turn right here, all the officers right now in riot gear, they're standing ground right here. We keep moving with them as they're going from store to store, as looters keep running from store to store. Again, previously though, prior to being here just about 15, 20 minutes ago, there were peaceful protesting going on. There was about 200 people protesting peacefully. Oh, see if we go over here. Can you guys still hear me? Or have I lost you?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. I did just hear a flashbang. I don't know where that's coming from. We have I'm seeing 2 stores right now that windows broken out. And we're just standing guard right here. I think we're waiting for the police to tell us. They're asking us to stay right here. We're going to listen to what they're asking us to do. We have other folks right here who are just standing around.
Yeah.
Earlier,
hey,
we have folks that are just.
Hey, Brittany.
Yes,
Brittany.
Chris.
So earlier, about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes ago, you were with some protesters and some police officers, and it seemed like they were having some sort of dialogue with each other. What were they talking about?
They were talking about no justice, no peace, no peace, no justice. They kept going over and over again, saying hands up, don't shoot, the same message that we've been hearing every day here. There was one particular angry man who was shouting profanities at the officers and at us, blaming the media.